What's going on, guys? It is your boy Ritter from Watchsociety. Today on the wrist I've got the 6119 Patek Philippe Calatrava, a very classic, very non-Ritter look. This is the first full classic watch that I actually own. This is a new acquisition. This is something that I want to talk about in my upcoming video, so do look out for that. But for this one, I just wanted to address Fp Journe, right? I mean, I always wanted to talk about them, but I just never really got the chance. I mean, they make 800 pieces of the Elegante line worldwide. So what are the odds of me really getting hands-on with one up until now? And I always truly thought that they're a work of art. They're revolutionary horological concepts is what they are. More so when you talk about the Elegante 48 line. I mean, their electromechanical movement, very long autonomy, and its perfect fit on the wrist all speaks for itself. And then I finally got to meet someone who actually owns the Elegante 48 right off retail before the hype days. This is someone that basically just walked in and said, I like this watch, I want to buy this watch, that knew nothing about it, which is very interesting. At Mechanically Yours is his Instagram handle. I highly recommend that you guys go check out that page. Give him a follow if you like that page. I got to meet him through a common friend who's also crazy about watches, but at Mechanically Yours has got that, I don't know, specific taste in watches. So I thought maybe we'd give him the opportunity to tell us his acquisition story. How did he come around to buy this watch? And how does it feel on the wrist post owning it for years now? Let's get into it.
Okay, so this is the Fp Journe Elegante 48 in titanium. It's the dimensions of 48 millimeters is the case. This watch is what you call electromechanical quartz. So it's quite a revolutionary movement, and in our watch community, as you know, there's like the stigma around sort of quartz pieces, and I've never really been I've had an issue with that. But like when Francois Paul, puts his mind to something, he always tries to do the best at it, right?
So it basically took Fp Journe 8 years to develop all the necessary components to make this Elegante 48. I mean, I'm talking about everything that goes into the electromechanical movement, the comfort, how it sits on the wrist basically, and this whole elegance behind it. I mean, you talk about brands like Harry Winston and Fp Journe, and they're the bridge to innovation. I think Fp Journe is like ahead of its time. It is that innovation.
So he initially came out with this watch for ladies, and the whole thing was around convenience, right? Because women typically, traditionally don't like setting their watches. It's a headache for them. But I think he solved that problem by making a quartz watch which, does not compromise his quality, his fit, his finish of the movement and every detail of it.
The minute I picked up that watch, I knew that this look, this level of innovation is definitely ahead of its time, which will always keep it relevant. It's a really difficult thing when you want to make a sport line relevant now and relevant later. It's not an easy thing to achieve. And I mean, if you're talking about classic watches, of course, they'll always look timeless. But when you talk about sport watches, making them relevant now and making them relevant later, whether it be through the complicated movements or the electromechanical movement that is on the 48 Elegante, it definitely feels ahead of its time. That's what came to my mind the minute I looked at this watch.
It was so popular when it came out that his male clients started asking for it. And that's when he did it in a bigger size, in every aspect, be it the case, the polishing, the movement, which you'll see. It's got rose gold, it's got Geneva stripes, and it's like probably the quintessential sort of independent sports watch right now out there.
This is someone that basically just walked in and said, I like this watch, I want to buy this watch, that knew nothing about it.
So the funny thing was, when I picked this up, I was like, I got in pre-hype, the Journe boom. At that time, Fp Journe was sort of coming up, but he wasn't like what he is today. And in 2016, I just knew I had to own a watch of his. I didn't know which one it was going to be, but my heart initially was set on this when I saw it in the press. And I had a budget, right? So like everything when it comes to watches, you got to start at a budget. And when I came across this in Los Angeles, that time, I went into the boutique and they had like 6 of them in the showcase. Would you believe it or not, in 2016. And I just like lapped it up immediately. So there were 2 reasons. One was the access, because the price point was the entry-level Journe, comparable to the Chronometre Blue. Both of them are sort of entry-level. But I wanted something versatile, something I could use every day, water resistant, easy to wear, it dresses up, it dresses down, you can swim in it, and it worked out perfectly. And ever since, I've got no complaints. The legibility is great. You can see the entire dial is luminova. At night, it's like a spectacle if you ever get to see it.
I mean, the ignorant thought is, of course, that this is a quartz watch. I shouldn't be stepping into this quartz watch at this price point as well. But the truth is, the reality is not just a quartz watch. It's an electromechanical movement that gives the watch basically 8 to 10 years of daily use time. And if you keep it on standby time, then it's up to 18 years. I mean, that is next level technology. Batteries don't do that.
Yeah, so for Fp Journe, it wasn't going to be enough just to make a standard quartz watch, right? He had to take it to another level. And how do you do that, right? He wanted to firstly push the boundaries of battery life. He wanted to basically extend it for the wearer to the maximum possible. But at the same time, give longevity to the watch, also make it convenient for the wearer. So what he did was he basically made what you'd call like a super quartz in a way. So in standby time, like if you just keep this locked away in the watch case, you can get 8 years of standby, battery life with it. But with 8 years is with daily wear is what I meant. 18 years if you just lock it away.
About 35 minutes motionless, which means basically you take off the watch, you keep it on the side for 35 minutes, it will stop working, and once you slap it back on the wrist, it will restart to the correct time.
So the lifespan of the battery is absolutely unbelievable, and one of the coolest features is that it has a sort of energy efficient mode, right, where at 4 o'clock you see this rotor at 4 o'clock. So if you put down the watch on your bedside or wherever, and after sort of 30 minutes of inactivity, the watch stops keeping the time in terms of the hands. So there's no sort of movement with the hands. The watch in essence goes to sleep. And then whenever you pick it up at any point to wear it, the rotor sort of shifts and wakes up the watch, and it tells them that, okay, it's time to get going. And the hands take the shortest distance to the current time. So it also sort of preserves the battery, which is such a cool and crazy feature. It's a real party trick of this watch.
Fp Journe is the only brand that I can think of today that has this like mindset, this futuristic outlook to come up with something that can stop time, and once you put it back on the wrist, it will just start the time back again. I mean, I think that's what brands should be looking at right now instead of changing dial colors. How does the current hype make you feel about, this watch? Did you ever think about selling it?
Okay, so no, that's a good question. And like independents were always sort of sheltered from and immune from that, the overhype craze, the hype train, after sale sort of gray market prices. You always had the APs, the Pateks, and sort of the Rolexes, struggling with that. And like independents were always immune. And that was sort of the haven for watch collectors, right? That independents are for the purists. And they were always never going to be sought after. But then the way the watch game is, people have started to appreciate quality. They've started to appreciate craftsmanship, limited, quantity of things, exclusivity. And that's sort of where we're talking here, right? With Fp Journe, we're talking maybe maximum, 700 to 800 or 1,000 watches a year. And that too in a good year. So yeah, it's a thing. And in terms of how it makes me feel, this used to be my daily, man. I'll tell you, it used to be my daily. I used to wear it to no end. But ever since the values have gone where they are, there's this thing at the back of my head always niggling me that, yeah, okay, the value is absolutely ludicrous. But the question is, would I ever sell this for something else? I don't know. I mean, I've thought about it. I've got other grails on the list. But then it comes back to that same thing, right? That if I get rid of this piece, do I have access to it ever again, or anything from this brand? I mean, the Remontoirs, the Tourbillons, everything have just gone ludicrous. The chronometric blue, as you've seen, are trading close to 100,000 or 100,000 plus now. So that fear for me is a big thing, that I can never get back into this aspirational brand I love so much if I were to flip it. So it's kind of killed the joy, but at the same time, I mean, I'm making the most of it while I have it, and I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon.
I surely would like to own an Elegante 48 if that time ever comes, or if I ever get the opportunity, I will definitely pull that trigger. But do let me know in the comment section down below, how do you feel about it? If you had the chance to buy one, would you go for it, or would you consider something else? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to go through your comments. Look out for my next video as well, where I talk about the 6119 Calatrava. This is the new acquisition. It's not something I ever thought I would go for, right? Because this is purely a classic watch. I mean, I'm not sure if I'm just getting old or what it is, but I'm starting to appreciate leather and strap watches more. We'll find out in the next video. Take care. Journe.